Imagine an OP-protagonist anime where the protagonist himself never updates. 12 episodes pass. Knights, wizards, and adventurers walk in and out of the room calling him a master, and he keeps describing himself as an old guy from the boonies who is slightly better than average and good at teaching kids. That is the show.
And the wild part is, the show takes him seriously. It is not winking at us. The stage being set up around him is real. He just keeps refusing to step on it.
From Old Country Bumpkin to Master Swordsman, Season 1. From the same SQX light novel pipeline that has been running this kind of older protagonist fantasy for the last few years, this one is the version that actually lets the protagonist mean it.
Alex, you watched Isekai again last night, didn't you? This is your guilty pleasure genre, I know it.
I am not going to dignify that. Stay on the show. So our guy is Beryl Gardenant, 45, runs his father's small village dojo. His self-description on day one is, and this is a quote, not a paraphrase, slightly better than the average person, with good speed for his age, but that is about it.
Right, and then in episode 1, one of his old students walks back into the dojo. She is the commander of the kingdom's knights. She has an imperial order with the royal seal. He does not get a no.
And that is the engine of the season. Every institution he walks into, one of his old students is already running its top tier. Knights, Magic Corps, Adventurers Guild, the world has been quietly built out of his pedagogy, and he is the only person who hasn't noticed. What kind of show is it? Visual register is warm, soft light, slow cinema kitchen scenes, deliberate pacing. Combat thesis is, read the fight, not power up. And underneath it all, there is a slice-of-life tug that the show keeps pulling itself back to. By the middle of this season, the slice of life is the load-bearing arc.
Let's walk it. Episode 1. Alusha, his old student, drags him to the capital. He thinks he can refuse. He cannot. The Order's vice commander, Henbritz Drought, decides to publicly verify the appointment with a duel. Henbritz is the season's first defining character feature, straight-line linear power, including a signature spin he calls the Roaring Blade. Beryl reads him in about 8 seconds. Eight seconds, bro. 8. The way the camera holds on his shoulder right before the spin, that is choreography that knows what it is doing.
I would push back on that. The choreography is fine, but it is not what the scene is actually doing. The scene is doing tone. Beryl walking out and immediately telling the room the only reason he won was a style match. The fight is the setup. The deflection is the punchline. If you only watch the fight, you will miss the show.
Bro, I am not saying the deflection isn't the move. I am saying the fight is also the move. You can hold both.
Episode 2. And this is where you should know. The show has a longer game than its premise suggests. Half of episode 2 is an Alusha flashback. Her years at his dojo. The day she stopped thinking all sword teachers do what he did. The flashback recolors the whole appointment. The Imperial Order is not a kindness. It is the end state of a 10-year plan she has been quietly executing. Episode 2 also drops Fisel, a Magic Corps wizard who built a sword magic discipline on his foundations, and at the end of the episode, we meet Lucy Diamond, the Magic Corps commander, who looks 12 and is very much not.
Episodes 3 and 4. Beryl gets pulled into the Adventurers Guild by Serena, his black rank former student with the twin dragon blade nickname. They duel. He wins by spotting her underdeveloped left-hand technique. Then, a guild contract goes south, and they end up in a cave with a specially designated target named Zeno Grable.
Two things to notice about that fight. 1. Beryl hands Serena the named monster and goes back for the wounded trainees. He treats his black rank former student as the senior partner without flagging it. 2. The show puts him on a monster's back not because he is stronger, but because he had a moment to think while everyone else was still reacting.
Now, end of episode 4, and this is where the show pivots. He catches a child pickpocket using fire magic. She gets away. We learn she is being run by a criminal ring that has been promising her she can resurrect her dead sister.
Right. This is the season's real second act. Episode 5, Lucy comes in and converts an interrogation into a contract. She will pay Mewi the $5 million herself, if the wizard turns out to be telling the truth. By episode 6, the wizard is gone, the Sphene Church is implicated, and Lucy hands Beryl literal house keys and a kid.
And the moment that anchors all of this, the moment that converts the show from Sword of the Week into something stranger and better, is one short scene in episode 6. Mewi keeps asking why everyone is being kind to her. He answers it.
ただのびのびと過ごせばいいんだ。
子供騙しみたいなこと言うんじゃねえ。
本当のことだよ。ここには君を騙す大人も利用しようとする大人もいない。だから君は
ただ甘えろって言う。
If that does not land for you, the show is not going to land for you. If it does, episode 7 is the strongest argument I can make for the season as a whole.
Episode 7 has 0 on-screen swordplay. Bro, 0. The entire episode is Beryl trying to figure out how to not feel like he is babysitting his own kid. He runs a deliberate icebreaker, skewers, and a play, and it is going okay. Then, there are rats in the new house.
Mewi will not let him handle them alone. She references where she grew up. The whole parenting decision the episode has been agonizing about resolves itself without anyone naming it.
ミュイが病気にでもなったらどうするんだ。
私はそんなにやわじゃねえ。ネズミなんて何トークじゃ毎日見てたし。
そんな暮らしは二度とさせない。
Bro. I will be honest. The first time I watched this scene, I had to pause it. The way she puts her hand over his, no dialogue, no music sting. That just got me. I think about the tankard scene from episode 9 the same way. The show earns those.
From episode 8 onward, the show pivots toward its political climax, but it does that without giving up the household. There is a duel between Beryl and Alusha, where Alusha is now genuinely his match in clean swordsmanship, and he wins by upgrading the rule set, throwing her by her cloak, and then telling her, on the spot, that her swordsmanship is too clean.
The teacher something thing again. Even when the duels are real, his job description never updates.
Episode 9 the season starts setting up a Svened visit, a delegation from the neighboring religious state. Beryl helps Serena capture a rare horse for the royals, and on the same day, Mewi quietly buys him a ceramic tankard with money she earned dishwashing. He cries. The show has earned that.
And right at the end of episode 9, the visiting Holy Order Vice Commander steps forward. And she is, of course, another former pupil, Rose Marbleheart. The audience is meant to read the reunion as warm. Whether it is the season's quietest, building tension.
This is where we stop. What we can tell you about the climax, without telling you any of it, is what the show is putting on the table. The political backdrop is real. Svened is in a papists versus royalists power struggle.
And the way the show drops that on us is great. The Magic Corps commander is at his kitchen table. The kid is doing homework in the next room, and Lucy is laying out international religious politics like it is a normal Tuesday.
And that is the craft thesis of the climax. Stakes go to international, household stays domestic, and the show keeps cutting back to the dinner table. There is even a small scene late in the run where Mewi tells Beryl she is exhausted by the school library, books too thick with vocabulary she does not know, and asks him to study with.
何かあったの？
図書室って魔術の本がいっぱい置いてあるんだ。それも一冊一冊がこんなに分厚くてさ。
ミュイがこれほど学校のことを話してくれたのは初めてだ。
What the climax is actually testing is Beryl's combat thesis under pressure. He has to read his own students, the ones he made, when the threat is no longer a duel. We are not telling you who. We are not telling you why. We are telling you the show stages the test as a teacher's responsibility, not a hero's triumph.
And the show stages the resolution twice. Once in a public ceremonial setting Beryl finds excruciating, and once at his own dinner table. The show explicitly treats the dinner table version as the bigger of the two. Public recognition is smaller than private recognition. That is the season's motto. That is the swing.
Back to the question we opened with. What does an OP-protagonist anime look like when the protagonist refuses to believe he is OP, and the show takes the refusal seriously?
It looks like a show that spends as much screen time on a kid working a dishwashing job as on a duel of the week. It looks like pedagogy as identity. It looks like a sword fantasy that decided its real arc was a parenting decision.
If you want a power fantasy where the protagonist updates and starts cashing the recognition, this is not the show. If you want one where the protagonist never updates and the show takes that as the actual subject, this is the one.
Watch it for the household. Stay for the duel as pedagogy thesis. The climax is worth seeing for yourself. That is the part we deliberately did not describe.
12 episodes, subbed on Prime Video. Season 2 airs this summer.
If this one landed for you, leave us a comment with what you think Beryl's actual ranking is. We are curious whether the audience updates faster than he does.
Catch you next time.